G'day guys, welcome to the Mole Lotus, me, Jess Grace, the Mole Lotus, so named after those of us who perhaps identify with starting a little bit further down than just the muddy waters before being able to effectively bloom into the lotus. But also I had a friend reach out to me during the week and said, is this name got anything to do with Kylie Mole? And I'm like, yes, it does. Because Kylie Mole is a bit of a Aussie icon. But if you know, you know that she just goes. Anyway, that I have addressed it. Yes, Kylie Mole, as well as, the other more serious reason. So energy update, longer version. So if you watch the short or you're just here for the long, basically, I like to do a little bit of an astrology update. I'm not an astrologer, but I do like to, know what's going on. And I have pulled some tarot around that. So the astrology part of this reading, I'll just give you the succinct little messaging that I got. Navigating high stakes power dynamics and managing impulsive desires. Focus on deep meaning, self-discipline, and careful decision making. Now, for me, the way I like to read these things in relation to, what we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks, or what I feel called to be talking about, because it's kind of big for me. This is about me living my authentic self and sharing that with the world. And if just one person is resonating with what I say and how I've come to that conclusion, then, I feel like my spirit guides are going to get off my back about it a little bit. So when managing impulsive desires. Okay, so this is going to bring us back to what we discussed in previous episodes about re-looking at your core beliefs and rewriting them based on the information that you have about yourself now, and then taking that and having bigger dreams, but also writing your own rules around your core beliefs. So, writing rules that you're actually going to resonate with, that feel morally just to you, in order to navigate life on your terms. But also, when we introduce our own beliefs and rejig them, then we can also rejig the way we experience reality. So I feel like that's a little bit of a lesson in manifestation, as much as I hate that word, you know what I mean. So when the planetary systems are giving me a message saying you're going to have impulsive desires and you should probably focus on the deep meaning and self-discipline and careful decision-making. To me, I interpret that as I'm going to be having impulsive desires, and this is a moment where I can take pause and practice using that impulsive desire as a piece of information. So if we're talking about our authentic self, one of the ways that we can identify what's authentically something we're actually passionate about, as opposed to what society thinks we should be passionate about. And I think there's like three little elements there, to me anyway. So the first thing is that ignition of desire. Oh, I have a desire, I have a penchant, I have something that is making me want to do something about it. Now, when we were talking about laws last week, I really resonate with the Hermetic laws, and I feel like desire and the law of vibration are closely matched. I mean, I think they go hand in hand. And now I'm not going to give you a lecture on Hermetic laws, but I do like explaining things the way I understand them. And so for me, the thing that I wrote about this law that would help me to go, oh, that's what that means, is you have to be on the path to find the plot. So this leads to a little bit of a story, but I am coming back to it, and it's a relevant story. So when I was learning hypnotherapy, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. We did as students, we were doing past life regression, which was kind of really super fun. And that's sort of why I like to include some past life cards in my readings, just because I have a good understanding. But when it was my turn to be hypnotized and to regress back into a different life, which is a useful tool if there's some baggage that you've brought or some wisdom that you've brought from that life into this. And so when I looked into the magic mirror and saw who I was in a past life, I was a bog witch, which is, it's not unsurprising. I understand that. But me imparted a little bit of wisdom. So in her life, she was constantly traveling around, and the part where I came in, she had a male companion who was younger than her. I don't think they were lovers or anything like that, but she did let me know that that was for protection. You have to have a man around, but I didn't take it that he was one giving direction. I believe she was quite in charge of the situation. And the other wonderful wisdom that she gave me or showed me, or just I got that sense of what it meant and how it meant, is that if you want to manifest something, you've got to be on the path. So I just felt this need, this compulsion to be walking every day. And by walking, the thing that you're thinking about and desiring to experience meets you there on the path. And so in the Hermetic law of, vibration, you have to be moving in order to be able to pull in what it is that you want. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be this hugely productive person and constantly, striving, but you do need to be in motion. So that brings me to a story within a story. I remember once, and this was years before I learned hypnotherapy, I was just bushwalking with some friends, and we got split up, and there was this huge gap of about 9 kilometers between where I thought we were going and where they ended up going, and then me having to backtrack the way I went and then go and find them. And so when I was walking in the bush, I kept getting overwhelmed and angry and scared, and every time I would start talking to myself and getting overwhelmed, somebody would come along, a fellow bushwalker, and I would calm down and get back into enjoying the day, the walk, focusing on the goal that I was trying to achieve. And so for me, those two things really married up in my head. It's like, oh my gosh, yeah, like every time that you need something to occur, or you find that you have an emotional overwhelm, if you're on the road, the right thing's going to come along to you. Okay, so why am I marrying the law of vibration and these impulsive desires that we're being warned about? Well, because I think that when we want to manifest something into our experience, but we want it to be from an authentic space or authentic desire, sometimes if we have identified a part of our shadow that we've, relegated away and deemed inappropriate, it will come and it'll start playing tricks to things on you to get your attention. It's like a petulant child that is screaming out for attention because it just wants to be loved. And so if we have an impulsive desire, there's a part of it that is authentically us, but it's a part of us that needs attention and that it needs to be loved and then integrated into what I like to call the round table, a voice at the round table. So instead of waiting for it to act out, you consult it as part of yourself in order to make a clear and decisive decision moving forward. What does this part of me think about this? What does this part of me think about? And so when we're making decisions about, is this authentically me, or is this something that I feel like I should have to do? There's 3 little signposts. So one of them is desire, and that's that we ignite desire because we want to be in motion in order to manifest whatever it is that we'd like to experience next. The next thing that is a signpost that's going to be clearly, oh, this is me, this is an authentic thing, is joy. You know, does this give me joy to think about? Does it feed me with joyful energy? Am I really wanting to get my hands dirty and pursue this because I am ecstatically joyful about it? However, there's a third thing, and that is usually the thing that may stop us, and what has probably traditionally always stopped me from doing the thing that gives me the joy and ignites my desire, is fear. So fear is another part that comes up that will show you that this is your authentic desire. So when we have fear, we see it as no, because fear is just love, right? It's just love, and it's trying to protect you and keep you safe. And there's two ways that I love how I've heard fear described. And so one is, fear is just the swan song of illusion. So our illusions keep us safe, they keep us in the herd, and if we discover the truth, fear is going to stand up because it doesn't want the illusion to end, because the illusion, whatever it is, it might be miserable, but it's keeping you alive, right? So if we identify fear as this little missing puzzle piece, then we can head towards it, knowing that although it's uncomfortable, it's actually the thing that you're going to be looking for. It's the exact right piece. Now, the other way that I've heard fear explained is it's this beautiful measure of your success. So the more fearful something is, and the more you feel the fear and do it anyway, that old saying, the bigger the measure of your strength of character, just your strength, your courage. You've overcome this fear in order to really back yourself in achieving a particular goal that was joyful to think about and ignited your passion. And so it is that last little clue, that last little information, that little signpost to head towards. It's like, okay, this makes me want to get up. It's giving me energy. This is joyful. If I'm able to conquer the fear, I can see joy, I can see celebration, I can see success. And there is definitely a lot of fear surrounding this. And so there are little things that I like to use as a signpost towards, yeah, this is authentically what I'm desiring. So this week, if we're being bombarded with impulsive desires, what I implore you to do is to give yourself a pregnant pause and have a look at what that impulsive desire is and why you're deeming it impulsive, and therefore perhaps a little destructive or disruptive, and then go and do a bit of shadow work. What is it that I'm actually feeling unloved about? What impulsive desire is this masking an aspect of me that I have relegated? And then when we have desire, we have energy. So we can use this impulsive desire as a way of, doing a bit of shadow work, integrating our shadow, and then redirecting that impulsive desirous energy into something that we'd actually want to achieve. And also, by doing that pregnant pause, you're stopping yourself from doing something impulsive that you would then regret later, or would have consequences because it wasn't aligned with what you were authentically wanting to achieve. But you get to integrate your shadow, and the more of our shadow that we can integrate, the more powerful we become. Like we literally get bigger because we've got more people on our team, if you can look at it that way. And then we can harness the energy that we get from that and use it towards what we actually want to manifest into our experience. So I think for me, that's how I broke that down. And then, for me, that self-discipline is you pulling yourself back and giving yourself that time to sort of take measure of what it is that you're actually experiencing. And then that careful decision making is, well, I'm going to pull this piece of energy that's been freely given to me and redirect it. Where do I actually want to direct it? What's giving me the most joy, desire, and scary, scary feelings? Okay, so yeah. Then I've pulled some tarot cards. So we have the Nine of Swords, the Ace of Wands, the Emperor, and the Queen of Wands. I really feel like I'm being called less to read tarot and more to talk about my interpretation of these things. So traditionally, those cards together is a story of breaking from mental anxiety and taking bold action and stepping into your personal power. And I feel like the process that I just explained about that, pregnant pause before impulsive desires is a form of personal power, because you're able to take the power back. Okay, so you might have heard, depression is living in the past and anxiety is living in the future. And the only place that we have true power is in the present moment. Okay, but sometimes that can be a little bit boring, I understand. Or, we have trauma responses, or we're just geared up to be fearful of the future or regretful of the past, because that's how we were raised. This is just, religious programming of self-flagellation for mistakes instead of learning from them, or setting healthy boundaries instead of constantly worrying about who's dangerous. It's like, you don't have to worry about who's dangerous, because as soon as that boundary is crossed, that person's out of your life anyway, because you've learned how to trust yourself to say no to people who are kind of shit. But so I really feel like that story of breaking free from mental anxiety and stepping into your power is to give yourself those pregnant pauses in order to use the information that you've been given to make a better decision, and harnessing the power that you're given by, taking what you want and heading towards the things you want to head towards with your little bag of tricks. But the quote for this week I've pulled from the Emperor from the Surrealist Tarot. And this is what I would like to talk about as well, which is very much like one of the last keys towards self-empowerment. And I'm not saying that I'm there and I'm teaching you. I'm just saying, for me, I feel like I can master this, then I feel like life might get a little bit easier. And the more steps I take towards mastering this, the more in control I feel over myself, as opposed to constantly be trying to look out for danger or trying to absorb energy from past lessons so not to make that same mistake again. So the quote: "A creator only needs one enthusiast to justify himself." Now you can take that two ways. A powerful man like the Emperor could surround himself with yes men, and that's very, very much, I think, speaks volumes about the patriarchy, because, you just need somebody to never question what it is that you're thinking or about to do, or your decision making, right? But if you get rid of the yes men and apply the principles of how to make decisions that are going to be actually accurately, authentically you, then you don't need a yes man or any yes man, because you become your own yes man. And this is where self-validation is the most wonderful, powerfulest tool that I can possibly ever imagine to be able to teach somebody or to learn myself. Still learning. I'm still learning. So why? Why is self-validation a very powerful tool? And especially if you have the ability to be able to identify what's authentically you and identify what's somebody else's voice living in your head rent-free and telling you things that you should be doing based on the collective agreement. So let's say you've made a decision to pursue something, even though it's quite absurd, and you can hear your mother or father saying, add in whatever script you experience in your own head. And you know that to pursue this thing is giving you joy. It's igniting your desire. You're wanting to take action, and it scares the shit out of you to be able to execute it, right? Then you've identified those little things that you need, those signposts to walk towards. But now you need to back yourself. And that means when people see what it is that you're pursuing, they're going to give you their 2 cents, whether you've asked for it or not. And you are going to have to go, yeah, but I want to. And I don't need to listen to this person because you are the only one that knows you as well as you know you. I'm going to have to make that a catchphrase, something, I don't know. It's incredibly dorky. It sounds terrible, but it's so true. So, people can give you advice on you, but you're the one that has to live inside of your body and your mind and your thoughts and your beliefs and your dreams. And you're the only one that you should be answering to. And there's a power in that. Because when you go out into the world and you want to be authentic and you become the only one that you please or need to please or want to please, it's like, oh, what do you want to do today? Do you want to, do that thing where you're, babysitting someone else's kids because you want them to be your friend, even though you probably don't really enjoy hanging out with them that much and blah, blah, blah. Or did you want to wear a fancy dress and go to the casino, not to play, but just to be gorgeous in a beautiful place and take your best friend who also likes to get dressed up fancy and then talk absolute shit all afternoon about how wonderfully spiritual you all are. I'm talking to you, Anne, because that sounds like a fun way to spend an afternoon. And then I'm going to go home and eat a really healthy lunch because it makes me feel good. And I might have a nice run or a hot bath. And then I'm going to do this beautiful painting that I've been thinking about, blah, blah, blah. And so suddenly no one else is in that equation and you're living with lots of joy. And I'm like, oh, but Jess, what about your obligations? Blah, blah, blah. Yes, we all have our obligations. We all have to. But I think sometimes life is a little bit like an algorithm and probably is. It's probably algorithm copying life in that, if you like something or you abhor something on your algorithm, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, the algorithm knows to give you more of that. It's like, the strongest emotions elicit the biggest responses. So, I hate this right-wing nut job. I'm going to fight with them on the thing. And then Facebook is like, oh, she enjoys spending time doing that. Let's give her more outrageous things that she's going to want to keyboard worry about. But life is like that too. So yes, we have our obligations. We've got to do them. But when we spend time to honor our authentic joy, our authentic desire, and what frightens us to be able to pull off, life rewards you with more of the same. And all of a sudden, perhaps, I don't know yet, perhaps it is a way of bringing these things into your experience. I'll let you know. But, so really, a good creator, a good emperor, don't need yes men. They just know that deep down that's going to bring them desire. And whether or not they're able to bring it to fruition or it's a failure, either way, they're going to get some more information that will lead them to another path that, has been activated by desire and fear and joy. Or they're going to have some success. And then they're going to go towards more fear and joy and desire. It's constantly in motion. And there is no destination, it's the journey. I'm sure you've heard that all before, but that's the way I understand it. It's the beginning and the middle and the end, and then the stagnation, and then the beginning and the middle and the end. And that's how we enjoy life. And, you know, you don't sit there on your algorithm scrolling and you just read one post and then put it down, although we should. We scroll because we want a little bit of information, the story. It feels like we're on the journey, and then it starts again. I finished reading that story. I've run out of dopamine, and I'm just going to push it again, and then that's going to activate it because I need energy in order to read this next article or see this next reel or whatever it is that we're doing. So hopefully that makes sense to you, and that is how I've interpreted this week's energy, is learning how to self-validate, giving yourself pregnant pauses to analyze the information that your emotions are bringing in for you. So that desire, impulsive desire, and then, you know, using that energy to redirect to things that you're actually authentically desiring. Okay, yes, that's it for this week. I really want to say I am bringing out a little reel about shadow work and self-validation based around some pictures that a wonderful photographer and I worked on together. His name is Dan Jackman, and so if you do follow me on Instagram, you will have seen his work. And follow him because his stuff is great, and he also has lots of friends who do great stuff. So, you know, art, love it. So thank you if you've made it this far, and we'll see you next week for the energy update. And if not, I hope you have a good life, and thanks for listening this one time. I appreciate it. If you do like it, please like and subscribe. Thanks. Have a great day.